Hey y'all, I'm Ali. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. It is first thing in the morning. I just finished my morning coffee. And I was telling you guys recently that my life is crazy busy. I can't quite keep up with everything. But here I am filming. But I wanted to show you something that I'm going to be doing to try to get my life under control. And I thought I'd walk you through this while I made some rolls. So, luckily for me, Walmart has all their calendars for really cheap because, you know, the New Year's over apparently at the end of January. So I was able to get this little calendar that has like a daily thing. And all I'm going to do is each day, and I already have stuff for the whole week on here. I wrote down all my videos I'm going to try to film each week. But things that I needed to get done on the daily, like laundry or prepping dinner or getting Etsy orders out, things that are like every days. And then things that I've been putting off, like we have bags and bags, I think 34 bags of garden soil that we need to get in the garden beds. It's been sitting out there. It has been snowing and it's been frozen, so that, you know, that kind of pushed it a little. But, you know, the normal things like cleaning out your fridge. And anyways, I wrote little, if I have check marks or lists that I can cross off, I'm much more productive. Anyways, so that is my little, we're going to give it a whirl and see how it goes. Anyways, I'm going to be making a batch of rolls to go with our dinner tonight. We are transitioning to fresh milled flour. I said this in a couple of videos. If you go to 100% fresh milled, it's really hard. The learning curve is pretty strong. And when you're a confident baker with commercial flour like I am, it can really make you feel like you don't know what you are doing and that you don't want to cook anymore. And I don't want that. So that's what happened to me the first time a year ago when I started this journey. And this time I decided, let's take it slow, like back to the basics, right? So a lot of you guys have asked, I have a Wonder Mill. It is our basic grain mill. It's one of the lower dollar versions. I looked at some of the mock mills and y'all, they can get one, very, very expensive. And two, I really wanted one, which this can do, that can do corn. A lot of them can't do corn. We make our own cornmeal. So I really want that as an option. So that's why we ended up with this one, but mostly price point. I don't leave it on my counter because it's not exactly the most aesthetic. Like some of them are beautiful in wood and you're paying for that. This one does just as good, just as well, does a great job, and I just keep it hidden. Anyways, I'm gonna grind up some hard white is what I'm gonna be using today for our rolls. So I'm gonna get that ground up. My KitchenAid mixer, we keep a bowl cover on it just so that it stays clean because this is right near our back door and we drag a lot of stuff in. So these are the bowl covers that we make. They look like a hair bonnet, but they're reversible. They're in our Etsy shop if you're ever interested. I like to start my dough with a paddle. And I usually do this in the bread machine. Because so many of you guys have been like, I don't have a bread machine. Can you show us how to make breads and rolls in a KitchenAid mixer? I haven't done this in a couple of years, so bear with me because the bread machine is my saving grace. I use it literally almost every single day. I have two of them. Sometimes they're running simultaneously because we do so many bread products in this house. So I'm going to show you my best how to do this with a KitchenAid mixer. First thing we need is 1 cup of, this is warm milk. You don't want it too hot because we're going to throw our yeast in there to get it kind of doing its thing. So 1 cup of milk, and to that you need 2 1/4 teaspoons. I refilled this and it's like very full. 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. And then you need a couple tablespoons of sugar. That's just gonna give it something to eat while it's doing its thing. I'm just using regular white sugar. You could use cane sugar, coconut sugar, whatever you want. Honey is the other option. Put my tablespoon away so I don't confuse myself later. So some of you guys have asked what yeast we use. We'll just give that a little whirl to kind of get the yeast doing its thing. So I leave that for like 5 minutes to kind of wake up. The yeast that we use, I reuse these containers because they're the perfect size. We buy our yeast in bricks at Costco or Sam's Club. We use Red Star or Bella. Those are the two that we can find locally. One of those bricks, I think it comes with 2 of them. It's like 5 pounds of yeast. One of those fits in 2 of these and 1 of the pint-sized mason jars. So I just dump it into the 2 of these that I have, the pint-sized mason jar, and then put the 2 in the freezer. This one lives in the fridge. When I use this one up, we just keep rotating. So that's what we do with our yeast, because we go through a lot of yeast, but I feel safer keeping it in the freezer. So I'm gonna let this sit for like 5 minutes, start to get bubbly. It'll be good. So it's starting to bubble already. It's only been like 2 minutes. I wanted to say thank you to Maria. Maria went into, we have a Amazon wish list, and we have a couple things in there that just are things that help around the homestead, or things we want for future videos, or things, you know, that we use all the time. But Maria sent us this, and I got it yesterday or the day before. And y'all, this book is amazing. It has so many recipes in the back for different uses for herbs. Things you can do for dogs, livestock, for yourself, cough drops. It's got a few recipes, some cleaners. So I'll pull some stuff out of it, but it has a lot of good information. So thank you, Maria, for this. I'm super excited to read through this. I started it last night, and then I told Shawn, like, I could sit here all night. He's like, you cannot sit there and read that book all night. I'm like, okay, I'm putting the book away. Anyways, I think our 5 minutes, yeah, we're good. Alexa, stop the timer. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I will try to, I'll mute it. So we have our milk sugar in here. To it, we're gonna add 1 egg. I have 1/4 cup of melted butter. You can use oil if you prefer. I like the taste of butter better. Butter better. We already did our sugar. Okay, I'm gonna add some salt. We did our yeast. I'm all out of sorts because I went, like I said, I'm used to doing this in a certain order for our machine. So I got my milk, I got my sugar, got my egg, I got my butter. I need a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna put that in once it's mixing with the flour so that I don't kill my yeast. I need 3 cups of flour. So for this one, what I decided I'm gonna do is half and half. Like I said, we're not wanting to fail and feel like we don't know what we're doing, and so I'm doing half and half. So I milled up our whole wheat here. I'm gonna do 1 1/2 of those. I know somebody's gonna say, why didn't you do red? We did red the other day in hard red wheat, by the way, is what I'm referencing. We did some of it the other day in our regular bread, and it turned out great. So today I really wanted to try white just to see. It's a similar recipe, so I was like, yeah. We're gonna do 1 1/2 cups of our regular bread flour. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, you don't measure it, you don't weigh it. You know what? Like, we're just real around here. Okay, and then I'm gonna get that going, and then add my salt. Now the last thing I'm gonna add, so whole wheat flours don't have a lot of gluten in them necessarily like bread flour does, and so I get Vital Wheat gluten from Azure Standard, by far the cheapest that you can get it. I add about a teaspoon of it just to make sure we have enough gluten in there to get these rolls nice and fluffy and beautiful. Some people don't do this. You do not have to. I just find for me, it makes a better end product. Sometimes I add sunflower lecithin or whatever it's called. I'm not gonna do that today. I'll link this below, by the way. It's just from Azure. It's like a 1 pound bag, and it's lasted me like 3 years. So we make our own bread flour with it. Okay, now that my dough is kind of like clinging and doing its thing, I'm gonna switch out to my dough hook. I know a lot of people do it with the dough hook. I feel like it takes 14 years if you do it with your dough hook from the beginning. My recipe is very wet right now, and so I may end up adding more flour, but whole wheat takes a little longer to absorb the liquid, and so I'm gonna give it a little time before I decide to just jump in and do that, and it turned out funky. Okay, I'm gonna go let this mix for a few minutes, and then I'll bring you back if I end up adding something else. But yeah, it's definitely gonna need a little bit. Add a 1/2 cup of the whole wheat version. So a lot of you guys have asked, we have this KitchenAid. It's a professional HD. I wish I knew how strong it was. I hate it. We have an old one from the 90s. I finally killed it. Shawn's gonna do an overhaul on it to see if he can get it up and running. If you have a KitchenAid that you love, let me know, because I should have bought the Bosch mixer before it went off sale, but I didn't. But anyways, we have a couple different mixers. We got one from Vever we enjoy, but my son took it home. So I love my KitchenAid. I love the look of a KitchenAid in the kitchen. I think it's just so classic and cute, but I hate this one. Anyways, okay, that's looking a little bit better. So I'm gonna let that go for about 10 minutes so that it kind of like kneads it, does its thing and finishes mixing, and it reacts to the gluten, and it does all its good stretchy stuff. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, our dough is looking great. It pulled together like exactly how I wanted after I added that just a little bit more flour. It might be no, we're good. It's gonna puff up nicely. So I'm just gonna pull my dough out really quick. I'm gonna spray my bowl down so that it doesn't stick to the sides as I let it rise. And then pop my dough back in, and then I take one of our little bowl covers like I was showing you guys earlier, and I just pop that over the top. Just keeps it warm, keeps it safe, and then it's just out of the way. So I'm gonna let that just sit there and do its thing. I'm near a heat vent, and so it should stay mostly warm in here. If your house is really cold, pop it in the microwave or set it on top of your stove or somewhere that's warmer. Like our like special spot is on top of our dishwasher. I will run a quick load in the dishwasher, and the warm granite will help things rise too, so if you're in a hurry. I'm gonna let this go until it doubles, which in our house is sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes it's an hour and a half. So I'll just keep checking in, and then I'll come back to show you what I'm doing. So in the 10 minutes this is mixing, I switched my laundry. So I am terrible about folding laundry. So I decided to turn the buzzer on my dryer so that it buzzes until I do it. How perfect is that? It's gonna drive me frigging crazy, and then I have no choice. So I did that. I restocked our dog food for the week, our kibble and stuff like that, and did our dishes. So now that this is gonna be rising, I'm just explaining this so that you're like, people always say, how do you get everything done in a day? Well, you do things in all your downtime. So this is gonna be rising for 45 minutes to an hour and a half-ish. During that time, I'm gonna get everything out for our dinner tonight. We're having tamale pie with our kids. So while I have my wheat grinder out, or my mill out, I'm gonna grind some corn for our cornmeal. And I'm gonna get everything out for our tamale pie. Anything I can pre-cut, I'm gonna pre-cut and pop in the refrigerator and have that ready. And I'm gonna go process any Etsy orders. We have a couple that I gotta get in the mail today. And so I'm gonna go run and do that really quick. And that is my plan. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Maybe I'll get a shower in there. Maybe I won't today. I don't know. We're having a lazy day at home. It's raining outside, so it's kind of a nice day to kind of catch up on stuff. Anyways, and it's Monday. It's the Mondays. Anyways, I'm off to go do stuff. Rise for me. All right, I'm starting with a 9x13 pan. I like to grease mine a little bit. You can do this on a cookie sheet or whatever as well, but I like rolls that are stuck together on the side, so it's like there's only so many edges. I don't like rolls that are super crispy on the edge. Does that make sense? So these are more like a pull apart. Anyways, that's greased now. My dough is doubled. Where did I put my flour? Oh, I left it over here. Hello. I keep flour in one of these shakers. I used to keep rice flour in when I did more sourdough, but now it's just some regular old flour. I'm gonna throw some of that down on our counter real quick. I did finish our whole tamale pie. I was gonna do parts of it, and then I decided just get it done, and then I'm gonna put it in the fridge and I'll pull it out to kind of come to room temp. Where's my dough? Good Lord. Y'all, we're okay. I'm gonna take my cover off and get this poured out. It doubled nicely. It's looking good. It's a nice dough. Oh, and I forgot my scraper. She's with it today, y'all. She is on it. So this recipe traditionally does 15 rolls. On nights like this, when it's gonna be, we have like a casserole type thing, which isn't, I wanna say it's not substantial, but we want bigger rolls. So I'm gonna split this and I'm gonna do 12. This dough is a little bit tougher than I traditionally like, but again, we're messing with fresh milled. You can totally just use, I'll put the recipe below, which is my normal roll recipe, and you use 3 cups of regular bread flour in that one. So I'm gonna separate these into 12, And then to roll my dough, I traditionally kind of start to form it. You can feel that this is a different texture, and that's just because of that whole wheat in there. I kind of form it into a circle, and then I rock my hand, and it rolls against this edge right here. This is definitely a different dough. They feel like they're gonna be hardier, less fluffy. We'll see. Well, usually I can use the grip of the counter to get this going. This one is not doing that. That's okay, we'll do our best. You can also tuck them like this and then just set them down so they're not like, I like them to be a little more taut. There we go, it's starting to go. You can feel the whole wheat in there. But that's what I do. I try to get it to make balls of dough. That seems to do a little bit better. This is definitely a dry dough. I should not have added that second part. That's okay, this is a learning experience. If you're making this recipe with fresh milled, don't add that little bit extra. Let it sit out. I knew better, but I was like, no. It's fine, I know what I'm doing. No, she doesn't, girlfriend. Anyways, I'm gonna go form all these. Man, definitely a different dough. I'm hoping it rises up nice and fluffy. I could have let it rise a little bit longer, but it's just not very sticky. But I also, my counter, I just cleaned all my counters, and sometimes when I do that, they have like a, not a film, that's not the right word. But anyways, I'm gonna go work these. And then once I do, I cover them back up. I stick them on my stove and I let them go for about 45 minutes to rise. These, like I said, the reason I did these early is so that if they do not turn out, we're gonna be okay and we'll just make some regular ones. This is a learning curve. It's a joy of fresh milled. Yeah, usually I can get these to like kind of do just a pucker thing and then spin, but no, this dough's definitely different. It's okay, learning, we're learning. All right, I'm gonna go finish rolling all these out, and I'll do probably some research before I make these next time to see, other than the half cup flour that I should have not added, is there anything else that I should have done with the fresh milled? Because it's not. It ain't right, y'all. All right, failures. You guys like it when I share failures? These would have been great. Anyways, if you want the regular recipe too for the bread machine, I have a recipe on the channel. It's been on. It's one of our very first ones that we ever did. So the audio is terrible, and I was super self-conscious on camera still. So if you want some laughs, go back and watch that. It was from November of 23. So it's been a minute. Anyways, I'm gonna go finish trying to form all these. See what I can get out of them, and I'll bring you back to show you what they look like. Oh, I do cover them really quick, by the way. I keep a towel, I don't know if you can see it, right here. Oh, by the way, did you guys see? I've got these for Christmas. Aren't these beautiful? Miss Judy sent these to me, and I love them. They match my kitchen, and I've just hung them on my stove. They've been there since I got them. Anyways, I keep this towel here. The only reason I keep it there is for doughs. So it's clean, I switch it out, and then it's a big towel, so I just lay it over that, and then I set it on top of my stove. So that's what I'll do to let these rise, and I'll bring you back to show you. I like when things just work, but it ain't always the case. This is real life. Real life at Little Hill. All right, our rolls have risen. I fold my little towel back up and I hang it over here. And literally the only purpose for that is for rolls. Rolls and bread. So they rose pretty well. I don't brush them or do anything with them before I put them in the oven. I put a little bit of honey and butter on them when they come out. So I have my oven at 350 degrees. They're gonna go in for about 18 to 22 minutes. I just kind of keep an eye on them and make sure they don't get too browned. There you guys go. But they're looking good. Despite all of our issues, I know I've told you guys this 1,000 times. Our oven is from 1930 something. It gets very, very hot and it doesn't move the air at all. So halfway through, I have to turn my rolls around completely. So I will do that at the halfway point, and then I will check back in with you at the end and show you what we brush on them and do a taste test. Yeah, there you guys go. By the way, in the time it took, these took about an hour to rise. I got our laundry finished and folded, it's put away. I got all of my Etsy orders done. I made our dinner. It's now in the fridge. What else did I get done? I don't know. Oh, I did clean up my refrigerator. I have a cucumber that if I was hoping it would hold out to Wednesday, it's not gonna hold out to Wednesday. So I'm gonna make a tzatziki video really quick because you guys asked for that. And I I still haven't showered. It will happen. It will happen. Rolls just came out of the oven. I'm gonna say right now that they're definitely a different texture and they didn't fluff up nearly as much as when I use commercial flour. But do I want to remake them is the question. I mixed together 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of honey. I melted the butter just a little bit so that I can brush these. We like to do this. It just gives them a kind of a fun sweet flavor. So I just put that across the top of every roll. They definitely feel crunchier, but again, I added that extra flour thinking that I needed it. I don't think I did. So part of me wants to go back and redo them and just not add that. And part of me is like, you have some perfectly decent rolls. Nobody's gonna complain. So let's try one though, and we'll see. Because I may sing a different tune if it's like a giant crouton. The fun part with fresh milled is that when you get it down, I'll be good. But the learning curve last time frustrated me so badly that I honestly put my mill away for like a year. And so I decided this year is gonna be the year that I'm really gonna jump in and learn it. And so far I had bread and it sank in the middle, but that was a half fresh milled, half fresh milled and half commercial. So I think I overproofed it. Then I've done a couple things, and so far nothing. Oh, the cookies were pretty good. We did some cookies, some chocolate chip cookies. They were decent. I want to work on that recipe a little bit more before I release it. But overall, I'm still struggling. I still, like, if I needed to make something that I was like, dude, everybody that I feed this to is going to really enjoy it, I'd still go back to my fresh milled flour because I'm not confident in this yet. But I'm going to pick this one only because this one got a little bit funky when I was rolling it out. Doing the thing, one of the edges got a little funk. So we'll make that our tester. So they're very, very hot. Can you tell? I just took them out of the oven. All right. So, I mean, they're a wheat roll, so they're going to have a wheaty texture. Okay, they puffed up really nicely. They're beautiful inside. The texture on the outside is pretty. They look good. Are they going to be too hot to try is the question. They feel softer now than they did when I first pulled them out. When I first pulled them out, I was like, dude, these are hockey pucks. But
they smell good.
They smell good? Do you want to melt your face off and try one with me?
No.
They're half commercial, regular bread flour, and they're half fresh milled wheat.
Tell me when it's cool enough to eat.
Well, it'll be cool enough to eat. I mean, it's hot.
Oh, it's hot.
Well, it's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Oh, it's cool enough to eat.
But this is the same recipe as the rolls I always make. It's drier.
A little drier.
Is it still okay?
That's why you put butter and honey in.
And when we serve them tonight, we'll add more. If you want to dip it.
Oh, you're good.
All right.
That was my lunch.
No, I'll make you lunch. They're apparently they're edible, so we're good. They're definitely more like a whole wheat. And I'm gonna let them sit and they'll soften back up. The bottom's got a little bit crispy, but that's just our oven too. So there you guys go. That's our version of a half fresh milled. Like I said, I'm gonna continue to work on some fresh milled recipes. I'll put this one below with the original minus the extra half cup that I added. Might have been like a fourth a cup it needed. So anyways, I'll put it below if you're interested in making these. I do the original recipe in the bread machine. I'll link that below as well. But rolls are done, dude. Thanks, guys.